All right, guys, in this video, I'm going to show you how to finish off your Polaroid landscape by making it three-dimensional, by changing the colors, as well as adding a texture. So one of the first things I want to do, as always, I go up to the top where it says Window. Let me make sure I'm in this place. All right, Window, Workspace, Essentials Classic. If it's already clicked, just make sure you reset Essentials Classic. And then I want to look at my layers, right? I have my window at the top, which creates that border around my piece. It has my name and everything on there, 2023. And then it also has the foreground layer, middle ground, background, and then the background, and then the photo layer, right? What I actually want to do, I want to go in here. I want to hide the foreground, the middle ground, and the background layer. And I want to create a layer in between window and foreground. And that layer, I'm going to name it texture. So to create a layer at the bottom of the layers palette right here, you click on this, make sure that it's in between these two. I'm going to call it texture. Now in the texture layer, I am going to add something else. In this side right here, I'm going to add maybe 5 little squares. So because you're seeing it as 2 columns, right here on the toolbar, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the rectangle tool. If you click and hold it down, you should be able to see all those shapes, but you want just a rectangle. I'm going to click and drag, and I'm trying to create about 5 or 6 different squares. This is actually going to serve later on as my color palette. Let's see, I'll do 6. Click and drag. Okay. There they are. All right, and now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select it, at least the first one up at the top, and I wanna pick out my colors. So to pick out your colors, the eyedropper, which is actually the 4th one from the bottom left column, right over here, the eyedropper allows you to select a color that exists in a photo. So since I have this selected, whatever color I eyedrop onto, it's gonna give it that color. So now I'm looking for the grass color. Yeah, maybe that yellow. And I come back over here to my selection tool, and I'm going to select my second square. Now I'm going to select the eyedropper tool. Maybe I want to select, let me see, maybe like the screener section here. Yep, that's okay. Go back to the selection tool, and you're doing this for each one of those squares to try to get all the colors that you want in your final piece. Because if you look at it, this does not look realistic, right? That orange cloud, the purple sky, right? And you don't want it to just be like, oh, white clouds and light blue skies. You want it to be pretty accurate to what it is that you're doing. So right now, I selected my 3rd little box right there for my palette. I'm gonna click on the eyedropper, and now I'm gonna go to the water. Yep, maybe that, maybe a little bit lighter. Let's see. Maybe right there. I select my 4th one right here, and now I want to go into the tree line. Maybe a light color. My 5th one, eyedropper. Maybe my sky color. And then the last one is going to be the clouds. Now you might think the clouds are white, and they kind of are, but they have that grayish tint to them. So I have that. If I want to go back and change it, that's fine. So now I have my color palette for my piece, right? And next, I want to go into Chrome or Safari, whichever browser you want to go into, and you want to Google construction paper texture. Now, if you see right here, construction paper texture, all the images that come up, there's all these different kinds of textures for construction paper. Now there are tools inside here that you could use. Like for example, you might want the size to be large. If this is your final piece, then I would say yes. For just a regular piece, maybe you might just want to download one at a regular size. But remember, these tools and these videos that you guys are watching under these tutorials are basically for you to do your final piece. So ultimately, yes, you want to go to the tools, click on size, click on large, and I'm looking for one that's light in color. So this one right here is light in color. Let's see if it lets me download that. Sure. I clicked on it. Now I want to hold control and click on the image, and I'm going to save the image as. I'm going to put this on my downloads folder right here. I'm going to call it paper. Hit save. And now when I go over here, back to Illustrator, you can see that in my texture layer, I still have it selected. It's highlighted in blue. So I want to go up to File, Place. And it's going to ask me, what do you want to place? On my downloads folder, paper, place. And there it is. I can hold Shift and make it bigger. Shift, make this bigger. There it is. And hit return when you're ready. And I just move it around. Now, you can't see anything underneath, plus these are hidden, so I'm gonna go to the layers palette and I'm gonna unhide the foreground, middle ground, and background layer. Now, when you look at this, right, I have it selected. Oops. I have the image selected of my paper. I have a few things that pop up on the right. For example, like fill, stroke, or opacity. I actually want to go to the opacity of this image. That's the construction paper texture. If I click on that, I could click on normal and change it to multiply. Take a look at what that did. It changed the texture of your little like illustrations of the clouds, the tree lines and stuff. It changed it to have that texture. So what this does is the layer property, and it allows it to interact differently. You could play around with the other ones, but I would use multiply. Okay, the last things that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change the colors. So let's see. I'm gonna hide this image that I just put in there as texture, and I'm gonna go in and change the colors of my foreground, middle ground, and background. So for that, you need to unlock them. Select your clouds. There's a quick way of accessing your eyedropper tool. If you click on the letter I, you can see it there. It says eyedropper tool I. Click on the letter I. You can just eyedrop there. And there's also a quick way to get to the selection tool, which is the letter V. So I'm going to click on this cloud, the letter I, click over here, the letter V to select the background, the letter I for the sky. And again, you could do this the old way, which is just selecting it on the toolbar and then coming back over here. But if you learn those keyboard shortcuts, it's much quicker. Click over here, hit the letter I. There it is. Click over here. This we might run into, ooh. I clicked on the trees. That's not the trees. Click on the tree line here, green. Click over here, this tree line. I'm actually gonna go with this green right here. And I'm gonna click on the grass itself, hit the letter I, right over here, select this, hit the letter I, again over here, and then the water is the last thing. Select that, hit the letter I, right over here. And now to make it 3-dimensional, you select the things that you want to actually pop out. So for example, you click on the cloud, and to select multiples, all you have to do is hold Shift. So hold Shift, click on this cloud, keep holding Shift, and click on this, on this, on this, on this, on this. The only thing that I'm not clicking on is the sky itself and that light blue color or the darker blue color of the water. All right, so I have everything selected on my foreground, middle ground, and background, except for that fill color on the back and the fill color on the back there. So once you have all of those selected, go to Effect, Stylize, Drop Shadow. All right, same thing, the layer property, multiply. This you might want to customize, and in reality you should customize it for each one, but a quick way of doing this, you're adding a drop shadow to each one of them. Change the opacity maybe a little bit less right here, 65. You could play around with the offset, the X, the Y, how blurry it is, right? I wouldn't make it too blurry, but maybe 0.125 as it was. And then yes, changing the color. For example, black, this might actually be like a darker blue. This one might be like a darker gray or something like that. Hit OK. There you go. It's three-dimensional. And then the last thing is to add the texture again. And it's done. I hope that this helps. And then you just go to File, Save As, and it's done. Actually, I would just go to File, Save. For your final one, though, you do want to go to File, Save As for the one that you're doing your image on. Enjoy.